to be an MMA fighter in this country now? How much can they make?
So if I talk numbers
Yes.
here, a fighter who comes on for his very first fight, okay, at MFN, will get show money,
Right.
okay, which is the guaranteed fee
Yes.
that you get of $2,000,
Wow.
okay? If you win your fight, you get a win bonus of $1,000.
Hello and welcome to the MFN podcast with the one and only Ayesha Shroff. Well, the heart behind MFN. If I say, you know, Krishna is probably sometimes the go-getter and the brains behind it. Ayesha Shroff is the heart, man. Thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you, Salil.
You need a lot of heart to do this, you know, and we're going to come straight into one of those very important questions. Is there a future for sport beside cricket in this country with sponsors? How you felt it? How you've sort of dealt with it for so many years? Have they started to ever be more responsive now, or are they still the same?
No, I think there's a huge shift in the energy now. And well, of course, cricket is its own god or demon, whatever you want to say. Then we saw a time when kabaddi took over.
Yes.
I mean, it didn't take over from cricket, of course, but I mean, it
Number
was just
two sport became
absolutely,
big. Yes.
absolutely. Then we've seen soccer doing pretty good as well.
Yeah.
And yes, in the beginning for MMA, it has been a struggle. Nothing to hide there, you know. But there is definitely a shift, and the tide has literally turned. And now, finally, after doing 11 shows, we are now being approached by sponsors. We're being approached by governments, in fact, offering to host MFN in their countries, etc. So, which is like phenomenal.
If you had to look at, you know, eventually what happens also, with hockey it happened also. The world caught up with India, then India now had to get back into it because turf changed. Cricket happened the same also. A lot of the countries that didn't play cricket then started to play more of it, and now there's so much happening. There's a league in America also that's happening. Do you think that we're, say, 50% there as far as world fight standards are concerned, or more, when you look at our own fighters and your own roster of MFN fighters?
No, I don't think we're there as of now, frankly. There could be some individual talents that would have the potential to break out and get to the next level. Well, if you talk about global promotions, without a doubt, the UFC is number one.
Course.
So they have a 30-year head start on us. When they started, they had their share of struggles. I mean, it's an open book, and full kudos to them for bringing MMA to where it is today. And look at the valuation of that company. I believe it's like, what, $18 billion or something like that?
Absolutely, it's taken over WWE as well.
Absolutely, so, there you go. So, so yes, definitely. But apart from them, there is also the PFL, which is, I think maybe it's just about a year or 2 years older than we are. And look where they are, you know. So perhaps they might not be on the wish list of or the dream of every fighter, because that remains the UFC. But the fact is, the PFL, the paychecks for the fighters are even bigger than the UFC. And
well, that's why they're being able to attract the fighters.
I guess that's correct. And the kind of format that they have in place ensures that the fighters, the same way that we are trying, the fighter fights frequently. You know, so that's another.
And the PFL is based where?
I think it's the US, but they also have PFL in Europe now. PFL Middle East, if I'm not mistaken. They're heading to Africa as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a
global.
Yeah, definitely.
Standards of fighting, purely when you look at
talent.
Yes. So, you know, there was a lot of discussion that used to happen there that Indians, more wristy, you know, so more artistic. So they would play cricket, hockey and all these things. Europeans in football, they used to say, physically larger athletes, so that's why they would play more of that. Track and field. Now that's been changed the last 2-3 years. Neeraj Chopra and all these athletes winning gold and all that. Do you think physically, vis-a-vis skill set, there's some way to go before we compete in what is acceptably the best leagues?
See, I don't think so, because in MMA, as you have in boxing as well, so you have weight divisions, right?
Yes.
So typically, I mean, from what I've observed, we've got very, very strong guys in flyweight, in bantamweight.
So 45 to 70 kg category,
No,
65.
it's 50 onwards, right? So, and the thing is that why perhaps they weren't able to be out there more is because precisely they didn't have that support, the training support and all of that stuff. So apart from MMA, most of these sports are recognized by the government.
Yes.
And because they're recognized sports, the government gives incredible support to these Olympic recognized sports, you know. So the government has set up incredible training facilities all over the country. So the athletes have access to that. Whereas with MMA, there isn't any such support, you know.
There's this, like, you know, how you, this gym and, you know, their training camps.
Exactly. So there are fighters who have realized that, and with their savings and all, they put up gyms and everything. But then it's great to have a facility, but then what? You need world-class coaches.
And you need
to
competition as well.
Exactly. Because, I mean, if there are 5 guys training in one gym, you know, then at the end of a month, everybody knows exactly what those guys' moves are. True. So then where's the challenge, you know? So
how did you make MFN different then? I mean, what is it that you sort of like threw the magic masala tadka to make them more competitive?
So first of all, you give them what you call the basics of life, right? So you take care of their needs in fight week, which is good nutrition, good support during their weight cut, the final weight cut, good accommodation. So you're not stressed about the nitty-gritties of daily life. Your mind is free to focus on the job at hand, which is to put up the greatest fight in that cage on the night of the event, right? Now, from MFN's perspective, we have now started MMA Matrix gyms, where, frankly speaking, that's the same challenge we face. So if we have 5 fighters training here, I would ideally like for these fighters to rotate around the other gyms so that there's always a new challenge created for these guys, you know. But, however, the ultimate aim of MMA Matrix is that when you retire as a fighter, because it's an incredibly demanding sport, you have the opportunity to be a coach at any of the MMA Matrix gyms. You get a great salary. If you're from out of town, your accommodation is taken care of. Plus, you get a share of the personal training amounts that come in. So that's the long-term vision. Also, currently what we're doing is we've tied up with a few great gyms across the world. And in my opinion, the best gym currently is Soma, which is in Bali. And Coach Mike is a fantastic guy. He's as crazy as we are, in the sense that if he likes a fighter, if he thinks a fighter has potential, he's not going to charge the fighter anything. He's one of those guys, And with him, he has an incredible team of coaches, you know, so be it boxing, BJJ, MMA, Muay Thai, strength and conditioning, he's got a fantastic team. So I have been sending a bunch of our MFN fighters to Soma to develop their skills, and considering the results on the last few fights, I have no doubt it's been a gamble that's paid off, you know.
Is the level a lot higher there?
It's pretty high, because over there he's got fighters in from Bellator, from UFC, PFL, you know, and even the lesser known leagues. So it's incredible, because these guys go there and then they're exposed to all these international fighters. And under Coach Mike, it's a very disciplined environment, but it's very fighter friendly, and everything is acts towards the betterment of the fighter, you know. So for me...
So for those who don't know, you know, for me when I was growing up, 36 Chamber of Shaolin was one of the films I loved to watch. The routine of each fighter. Any film with Rocky, you want to see the routine.
The training and all of that stuff.
What's an average day routine like, you know, that I know you went to Bali as well.
Yeah, I went to check on the boys.
What do they do though? Is it just pretty much eat, sleep, fight, repeat, eat, sleep, fight, repeat, that's it?
So I think depending on if they have a fight coming up,
right,
or there's a little way away from the fight, the routine is tweaked accordingly. But typically when you begin your camp, you train at least 4 times a day is what I've seen. So that could involve pad work, sparring, BJJ, boxing, you know, all of that. Then plus now with Coach Mike and his team, we encourage our fighters to remain there till the moment they fly back to India for fight week. So that Coach Mike and his team also help them through the whole weight cut process, which is an incredibly scientific process, you know. And it's something that you really can't learn over YouTube, to be honest, you know.
And when they say weight cut, they're talking like sometimes 10, 15 kgs, even 20 over a month.
Yeah, no, even shorter time periods.
It can be 15 days as well.
Yeah.
Can be extremely difficult also. I mean, I'm sure the mental exhaustion is also, you've seen some fighters just give up.
It is a mental game. I've not seen a single fighter give up, to be honest.
Really?
I've not seen a single fighter give up. For them, when I talk to fighters, obviously not during that time, but post the fight and everything, they say that this is the hardest fight. And what happens in the cage is the easiest part of the whole thing, you know. So, but yeah, the strain it puts on you mentally and physically is on another level. And they do it because it gives you that edge in the fight. Like when you have a car, it's like a turbo boost, if you put it as simply as possible.
Have you ever felt like doing a part of that weight cut also, because it makes it so easy for all of us? I've thought of it, looking at the fighter saying, listen, I need to lose a couple of kgs. What if I follow a little bit of what they say?
I guarantee you it's not possible. It's not possible. It's another level. It's another level.
And you have to be a professional fighter. That's why you'll always see this when you're watching it on Hotstar also. Don't try this at home. And like she said, YouTube isn't always the best teacher, because there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of training and mind work that goes into it. You know, there's always this thing with professional fighters all over the world. You know, in basketball we saw it, in baseball. They start to do very well. They get all this money, they don't know what to do with it. They spend all of it, and then they're all broke. Do you think that also needs to come into that kind of understanding of that you might not have all the years that you have? You need to invest well, invest wisely. Some of them come from small villages. They don't understand this big amount of money suddenly coming in. They want to blow it up. Do you think that's going to be the next step also in the training, financial wisdom and a backup plan for the fighters?
So I can't tell a fighter what to do with his money, okay? And I don't want to go there as well, because, you know, I mean, this is India. We still respect and love our parents. A lot of the guys still live with their moms and dads, and I'm sure they're getting the best guidance, you know, so it's not our place to interfere in that. But yes, the idea, like I mentioned earlier, about the MMA Matrix gyms.
That's the backup plan.
That's the backup plan. That's what I can do from my side, you know. So, I mean, you retire as a professional fighter, you do have this opportunity waiting for you, you know. So it's not like doom and gloom at the end of it, you know.
What's the average age of retirement? I mean, you look at other sports, in the mid-30s is when they start to sort of like let go.
Ditto. And in fact, you know, again, it depends on how intelligently you train. It depends on nutrition, supplementation, all of that stuff. So if you have access to the best, then yeah, you do have a longer shelf life as a fighter. But you know, if you don't, then I see guys, you know, quitting by the age of 33. The toll it takes on you physically, you know, even if you have the heart to go on, but your body is not going to support you, you know.
And you don't, and like I said, it's very dangerous. You can't just say that if you're 90% there or 80% there also.
No.
It can be fatal, and which is the last thing that you'd want. Have you ever been scared in a fight when you're watching?
Like watching a fight? So the thing is...
What could happen?
No, never. Because, you know, the systems, the systems that we have put in place as a promotion, we give the maximum support possible to ensure that there is nothing tragic that could happen, you know, be it pre-fight, during the fight, and even post-fight. We also, if a fighter, for example, is injured during a fight, so the immediate post-fight care obviously is taken care of, but typically I do try and keep in touch with the coach concerned. I don't hassle the fighter, but I do reach out to the coach concerned and like, hey, how's he doing? How's the recovery going? And stuff like that, you know.
And she goes to the hospital as well, which she doesn't tell anyone, which I find out because I just found out by accident actually in one of those fights, because the car that I was waiting for was with her in the hospital, and I said, was she gone? Like, this is immediately after the fight, and that's the thing that she doesn't tell anyone. So all those that are listening in and watching in, there's a lot of stuff that she does for you all that she doesn't tell you all. And I think that's also why that there's a real sense of you taking care of them, and which is why I think they're addicted to want to be with you.
I think it's mutual, you know, because for me, I don't look at these guys that, oh, you're fighters, you're signed to me and fight and here's a paycheck and go, you know. I respect so much what these guys are doing, be it the training, be it what it takes to get into that cage, like I said before, you know. So I look at them with utmost respect. I don't think I'm doing anything special. If any of these guys were my child, this is what I'd be doing, you know. So I look at it that way.
You have 150 children.
Yes.
And it's a large family to take care of. I'm going to wrap this episode up with the biggest question that people ask. We've spoken so much about, you know, how they've actually thought about the care, post. But the number one question, is it economically feasible to be an MMA fighter in this country now? How much can they make? Or how much should you think about? You know, because you're thinking, okay, if I can do this, क्या मैं एक घर का rental, मैं अपना खाना पीना, if I've got a family, can I take care of that?
So currently, I think we are way ahead than what we've ever been.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I talk numbers here, a fighter who comes on for his very first fight, okay, at MFN, will get show money,
right?
Okay, which is the guaranteed fee that you get of $2,000.
Wow.
Okay. If you win your fight, you get a win bonus of $1,000.
So even if you lose, you still get that $2,000.
You still get that $2,000.
Wow.
Okay, this is a long way from the days when our guys were fighting for $200.
Wow.
Okay, even $100 sometimes, and without other support, like we pay for insurance. Wow. We also, I mean, and we do a lot of follow-up.
Let me just give the numbers. $200 that time was 16,000 rupees. $3,000 agar aap jeet gaye, that's almost 2.5 lakhs for the fight.
For the fight.
And then there are other bonuses as well.
There are other bonuses, like if that's at the discretion of the promotion, of course.
Yes.
So we like to give out submission of the night, knockout of the night, sometimes even fight of the night, where both the fighters involved will get a bonus.
And this is when you're coming in.
Yeah.
This is right at the initial stages.
So currently our top payouts are $10,000 to show,
wow,
$5,000 to win.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
so
some good money.
And that's good money.
But then you've earned it. You earned it also. So if you have a good night, बहुत लोग पूछते हैं, is there money? अगर एक बहुत अच्छी fight हो गई, 15,000 plus the bonuses, maybe even $20,000 you could win.
Yeah.
That's 16 lakhs.
Yeah.
अब आप सोचो कि एक साल में अगर आप इतना कमा रहे हो, तो फिर आप you can think about doing this if you reach that kind of level.
If you reach that level, yeah.
And that's why there's so many more people that would want to come in. Then you have the belt, you get the izzat, you get all of that.
Yeah.
So this is perhaps something that people keep asking. And remember, ये साल में एक बार नहीं होता है. It's 4 times a year. So if you're good enough, you might be able to do maybe even 1 or 2 promotions in the year because there's a gap that is required.
So imagine Salil, if the dream comes true to do this on a monthly basis, then it's going to be...
Then we'd all want to try and be fighters, wouldn't we? But like I said, there's a lot of training and bahut mehnat jati.
It's difficult.
You can't just pick it up because you can actually get an injury that could put you out for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's happened in the past as well.
It's happened.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us.
Thank you, Salil.
This podcast, this is what you want to know. Everything that you want to know about MMA in India and what the MFN is doing. That's why it's the MFN podcast. There's no bullshit. This is exactly what you want to see. This is what you want to hear. And agar aap interested hain, all the questions that you want to put across, I will always leave that opinion poll open and I will leave the questions open. Go right ahead. Salil Acharya, my Instagram handle, Ayesha Shroff, Krishna Shroff, MFN MMA, all the Instagram handles are open, all the DMs are there for any questions that you might want to ask. Make it a two-way communication. This should be perfect. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us.
Thank you.
And yeah, lots and lots more action will be coming up, not just in the podcast, but remember to watch all the action live on Disney Hotstar as well.